My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the greatest artists who is known as the godfather of go-go, Mr. Chuck and the Soul Stirrers, wrote a song in the 70s that was supposed to be paired with Richard Pryor and Cicely Tyson's movie Bustin' Loose. The song basically says, I feel like bustin' loose. Although the song was written in its beginning to be a companion with the movie, it became during the 70s a song when people were dealing with the issues of jobs and inequality that still continued in the African American community. They were able to go to the social club and just bust loose. They were able to get away from their daily trials and tribulations and struggles and go into a club type atmosphere and just relax and forget about all of their issues and their troubles. And I'm convinced that God has led us this morning to this particular secular song to let us know that in Him there is a release and there is an escape from our troubles. God speaks to us through this secular song to say this morning that whether you know it or not, when you find yourself in bondage, when you find yourself in the midst of struggles and troubles and tribulations, I, your God, will bust you out of them. I will bust you loose. And my brothers and sisters, this serves as a comforting message to us this morning, because in a season when the economy is going down, in a season when it is uncertain of whether or not you're going to be living in the same house just 2 weeks later, it's comforting to know that whatever bind you get yourself in, God will bust you loose. Whether you find yourself this morning in a broken marriage or in a bad job situation, whatever is going on, God is able to bust you out of it. So then, my beloved brothers and sisters, our thesis for this morning, so as to make it very clear, is once again, when you find yourself in a bind, when you find yourself in trials and tribulations, issues and troubles, God is capable and God will bust you loose. But I hear you saying, you don't understand, preacher. My issues, my problems are so big, they're so major, I just don't see how God can do it. Well, with our God, there is nothing that is impossible. Everything is possible with God for those who believe. I remember going to a Brothers Keeper or Promise Keepers meeting, and this story was told about two men that went to a museum in Russia. And in this museum, there was an art gallery going on, and they had a lot of pieces of art on exhibit. And these two men happened to walk by one painting, and this painting was titled Checkmate. Now, this painting had two men sitting across from each other with a chessboard in the middle. One man had a very pleasant looking face. He seemed to be just a kind fella, very fair skinned. He was just sitting there, but he had his head hung down. He was crying because it was evident to see that he had just lost the chess game. And sitting across from him was a very evil looking man with a long goatee, with a sharp beard, and he was sitting there. It was easy to tell that this man was an image of the devil. And the devil had a grin on his face, because here the devil was sitting at this chess table with this man who's a human, and he was winning. He had won the game, and there was a smirk on his face to say, "Nah, boo-boo, where's your God now?" Have you ever felt like that before? You found yourself in the midst of trouble and tribulations, and it seemed like God was not there for you. So there was the devil in the game in this picture. Checkmate, I won. And so these two men that were observing this picture, one of them walked off, but the other one just stayed there. The other one said to him, "Well, you know, I know that you love chess and you're a chess expert, but you need to come on because there's more pictures." He said, "No, there's a problem with this picture." He said, "I'm going to have to call the artist because he's got to change the name. Because what the man doesn't recognize is that his king still has another move. And if he'll just move the king, he'll win the game. And I stopped by to tell you this morning, no matter what you're going through, God still has another move. I don't care if you find yourself in a bind and you can't get out. God still has another move. Look at your neighbor and say, he's got another move. He's got another move. God is not finished. I don't care what you believe. In the Bible days, that is not the last time that God moved. If God can allow the children of Israel to walk across the Red Sea, surely he can make a way for me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And in our text this morning, we find that Jesus rather has walked up on a dead man's grave. Right. And we find the story of a man being a man who Jesus raises from the grave. Now I must show you that I am not at all crazy, and say to you that I am not suggesting that Jesus or that we should spend our time in the graveyards commanding Aunt Suki and Uncle Joe to come up out of the grave. I am not suggesting that Jesus would dare us to indulge in this type of psychotic behavior. But I'm not going to say that Jesus is not capable of raising the dead. For I have seen instances before where people were lying on a hospital bed dead, and the machine was beeping continuously, but then breath entered their body when the saints begin to pray. So yes, God can raise the dead, but I would suggest that this story in the text this morning is not one that should suggest that we should indulge in trying to put the funeral directors out of business, but instead it is a symbolic story that lets us know that when things die in your life, God can resurrect them. If it's a dead marriage, God can ignite the fire. If it's a dead job, God can not only make you happy, but he'll raise your salary in the process. When things die in your life, God is able